There is no limit.
Oh, okay.
It was all for the
He
pictures.
caught enough to make his arm tired.
I had one evening on a legendary trout river fishing tour. That was the first river that the then king of the Monty that started king of that early 1800s. So I don't know, imported trout from Europe. They put her in the Shimmington River. That's one of the last guys. I fished it a couple of times now. I had one evening that we were supposed to be in camp having dinner, and the fishing got so good that we
Bypassed it.
camped in the dog.
Well, I've got one that says 7 and one that says 1 till.
Digital's correct.
It is? Okay. We all set?
Yep.
I call to order June 16th, 2020, Planning Commission of Board of Zoning Appeals. I'll start to my right with the roll call.
Oh, Marla Canfield.
Eric Peterson.
Bill Schnauber.
Gary Israel.
Alex Zarchin.
Okay. Third item, looking at the minutes from the May 19th, 2020 meeting. Everybody have a chance to review that? That were the comments on?
Mr. Chairman, I, Gary Israel, would make a motion to approve the minutes from the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals from May 19th, 2020.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I, Eric Peterson, second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you. Communications, excuse me, committee and staff report. Les?
We've got nothing this evening.
Okay. Residential development report. Things picking up again?
Things never slowed down
Yeah. That's amazing.
in the
Yeah,
building world.
That's good.
We'll say that real estate market is moving pretty quickly.
Yes, it is.
The real estate market is actually off the chain right now.
Yes.
The housing inventory is substantially lower than it was a year ago. So houses are quick on the market and bringing asking and a lot of times above asking price.
Good deal. Okay. All right then, before we move on to item number 5, I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recess the Planning Commission and convene the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Gary Israel moves a motion to recess the Planning Commission. Do I have a second?
I, Eric Peterson, second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the recess of Planning Commission and convene the Board of Zoning Appeals. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right then. Item number 5 is case number BZA-CU 2020-02, which is a public hearing on an application for a conditional use to construct an accessory dwelling unit above a detached garage structure on the property generally located at 519 North Glendevin Road, Andover, Kansas. The applicant desires to utilize a portion of the existing detached garage structure as an accessory dwelling unit. The existing principal dwelling is located on 2 large lots with adequate public facilities, access, and separation from nearby residential neighbors. Staff notes that the proposed accessory dwelling unit cannot be operated as a short-term rental, i.e. VRBO, Airbnb, etc., without a special use authorization, and knows of no reason not to approve the conditional use. Okay. Les, any comments?
I think that pretty well summarizes. You'll notice in the conditional use report there are several conditions that are addressed that would would lead you to approve a conditional use if all those conditions are met.
Okay. Okay. Anyone have questions for Les?
No.
Okay. Let's see here. We'd like to welcome everyone interested in this hearing and lay out a few ground rules. It is important that you present any facts or views that you have as evidence at this hearing so that findings can be made for the decision of this board. In order to grant a variance, 5 specific written findings of fact must all be met according to the state statutes and the city zoning regulations. This board is authorized by state statutes to make a decision appealable only to district court and not to the governing body. After a zoning administrator provides us some information, I will call upon the applicant and then we will hear from other interested parties. Once all have been heard, the applicant will have an opportunity for final comments. The board will close the hearing to further public comments and will then consider their decision, during which time they may direct questions to the applicant, the public, or staff. You should be aware that the board can require such conditions be placed upon the premises and/or the applicant, benefit by the conditional use as may be necessary to comply with the standards set forth in subsection 11-107C of zoning regulations. Such conditions should reduce or minimize any potentially injurious effect of a conditional use upon other property in the neighborhood and to carry out the general purpose and intent of these regulations. Failure to comply with any of the conditions attached to a zoning permit for a conditional use shall constitute a violation of the regulations. You should also be fully aware that if the applicant chooses to describe various features of their development plans, the city can only enforce those provisions which are covered in zoning and other city codes. Anyone wishing to speak must be recognized by the chairperson, give their name and address. Please use the podium and speak clearly so that your comments can be recorded for inclusion into our minutes. Do I have any disqualifications?
No.
No.
Okay. Official notice for this hearing was published in the Butler County Times-Gazette on May 23rd, 2020, and notices were mailed to the applicant and 13 real property owners of record in the area of notification on May 22nd, 2020. The record shows that at least 20 days have elapsed between the publication and mailing dates and the hearing date. Unless there is evidence to the contrary from anyone present, I will declare that proper notification has been given. Has there been any ex parte communication?
No.
No.
Yeah, I jumped the gun there by asking Les for his report, so we'll bypass it at this time. Is the applicant member here, representative? If you'll come up to the podium.
Good evening, Phil Meyer with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant. I think most everything was in the staff report. Don't feel right just going, are there any questions? So I will be brief because I think the staff report covered most of the points I would have brought out. I would point out to you that this unit is constructed within the detached garage. So the garage is going to be there anyway. It'll blend right in. If you look at that site plan, these are 2 platted lots. And you can tell by the way they built the house and the detached garage that there's only going to be one residence on these two lots, and that part can't change. This BZA request meets all the conditions that you have in your ordinance of what qualifies or what you need to meet, and we meet all of those. So the rationale for why, you know, I think the applicant's looking at this, and in the future his mother and father might use that. He has in-laws that will come to visit that can use that, extended family, or if he has friends that come in from out of town, they will be using this facility. So, and I may be as surprised as you are that there's nobody from the neighborhood here. So I do think he went to the HOA and met with them, which probably helped that.
I understand.
With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Bill, I have a question. So this is not ever going to be used as a short-term rental property? It'll just be for family and friends?
It is not his intent to use it for a short-term rental property. If he tried to do a B&B or any of those other, he would have to come back in and do another application because it won't allow that.
Okay.
Les, can I just ask, is that just due to the SF2 zoning?
Right, there is a special use required to operate what we call a short-term rental, like Airbnb and VRBO.
Okay. I was just making sure there's any special stipulations that we would need to do.
Separate application, separate process, separate ordinance.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else for the applicant?
So just to be clear, I mean, the structure of the garage, I mean, there's no change to
It's
what
not
was ever
adjusting the structure, no, it is not
It's all
expanding that at all. You would have the same garage, if you deny this, you will have the same garage structure and footprint on the
height
site.
and... Okay.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah, it is.
Just making sure that there's no new adjustments that would come in, but
Thank you, Phil.
thank you.
All right.
At this time, anyone from the public? Okay. Has there been any written communications received?
We haven't received any written
Okay.
communications.
All right, then we'll bypass the applicant's final comments. If there's no other questions, hearing no further public comments, I hereby close the public portion of the hearing. There will be no further public comments unless the board wishes to ask questions to clarify information. The board will now deliberate the request to determine whether the evidence presented supports the conclusions of the required findings of fact. The board will now consider the criteria provided for evaluation.
Mr. Chairman?
Chairman, oh,
Oh,
were you looking
Go
for someone
ahead.
to read these? You did last time, I'm happy to.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll be glad to. Number one, the proposed conditional use complies with all applicable zoning regulations, including lot size requirements, bulk regulations, use limitations, and performance standards, or a concurrent application for variance is in process. Staff, the proposed accessory dwelling unit is to be located within the existing detached garage structure that complies with the bulk regulations for the zoning district.
Concur?
Concur.
Concur.
Number two, the proposed conditional use will not cause substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood. Staff, the proposed accessory dwelling unit is to be located within the existing detached garage structure that complies with the bulk regulations for the zoning district. The subject property is 2 platted lots that could have permitted 2 single-family dwellings.
Concur.
Number 3, the proposed conditional use will not dominate the immediate neighborhood, preventing development and use of neighboring property in accordance with applicable zoning district regulations. Staff, the proposed accessory dwelling unit is to be located within the existing detached garage structure that complies with the bulk regulations for the zoning district. The subject property is 2 platted lots that could have permitted 2 single-family dwellings. A brick and wrought iron fence surrounds the subject property on the south and east, and Teradyne Country Club Golf Course surrounds the subject property on the north and west.
Concur?
Number 4, off-street parking and loading areas for the proposed conditional use will be provided in accordance with the standards set forth in Article 6 of the zoning regulations. Staff, the existing single-family residence under construction has adequate parking to accommodate the accessory dwelling unit.
Concur.
5, adequate utility, drainage, and other such necessary facilities have been installed or will be provided by platting, dedications, or guarantees. Staff, The subject property is platted and all of the necessary public facilities and drainage have been provided.
Concur.
Number 6, adequate access roads, entrance and exit drives, or access control designed to prevent traffic hazards and to minimize traffic congestions in public streets and roads is available or will be provided by platting, dedications, or guarantees. Staff, access controls are platted and the proposed accessory dwelling unit will use the same driveway as the principal residence.
Concur.
Thank you. If everyone's set, then do I hear a motion to approve, modify, and approve, disapprove, or to table the discussion?
Mr. Chairman, having considered the evidence at the hearing and determined that the findings of fact have been found to exist that support all 5 conditions set out in subsection 11-107C of the zoning regulations, I, Gary Israel, move that the chairperson be authorized to sign a resolution granting the conditional use for case number BZA-CU-2020-02 as requested.
I have a motion to approve.
I, Alex Zarchin, second that motion.
I have a motion to, and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Very good. A resolution will be prepared and made available to the applicant as soon as reasonably possible, but no later than August 7th, 2020. If anyone is aggrieved by this decision, a further appeal can be made to the district court to determine its reasonableness within 30 days after the resolution is signed and filed with the zoning administrator. Thanks, Phil.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn the Board of Zoning Appeals and reconvene the Planning Commission. I'm Gary Israel.
Looking for a second.
I, Eric Peterson, second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Board of Zoning Appeals and reconvene the Planning Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. All right. Item number 6, case number VA 2020-01, public hearing and recommendation on the petition for vacation of a portion of complete access control generally located at Yorktown Parkway south of 13th Street, Andover, Kansas. The platted access controls do not line up with the final driveway approach locations for the college. The requested vacation would lift the access control, but staff believes a new opening for access needs to be dedicated by separate instrument to assure no additional driveways are proposed in the future. The traffic engineers are working on a defined location. Les, comments?
I told you before the meeting that I had a red letter day that I was able to get 2 traffic engineers to agree. The college had platted those access controls per the manual. And once the site plan was developed, they found that the driveway closest to 13th Street didn't fit within the platted access controls. So we've had a lot of discussion and debate about moving that point closer to 13th Street because that's the result, is it needs to be closer to 13th Street. So considering that the property adjacent to the east is likely to not be developed because there's a floodplain that runs up nearly to the common property line here on the east side of Yorktown, they were able to come to some compromises and agree on a location. That's a little bit closer to 13th Street than the letter of the manual would allow. Rebecca is here from PEC. She can explain the details if you have questions, but
Okay.
we are in agreement about a location.
Okay. Board, is there any questions for applicant or PECs?
I think if staff's in agreement
Yeah.
with everything.
Everything's worked out between the engineers, yeah?
Yeah, no reason for us to beat it.
Yeah, we now have what would you call it, about a 60 or 70% set of design plans for Yorktown Street.
Okay.
That played into the equation. We have the striping laid out for the left turn lanes and so forth, and we're in agreement that we can make it work.
Okay.
What are you looking for, Mr. Chairman?
I'm looking for a motion now.
I, Eric Peterson, make a motion that we approve VA-2020-01, the vacation petition regarding complete access control generally located at Yorktown Parkway south of 13th Street.
I have a motion to approve. Second?
I, Gary Israel, will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Passes. Thank you. All right then. Item number 7, any member items?
No, sir.
I think the new Yorktown between Douglas and Central there works out real well.
It
And,
does. It does.
Is it complete?
It is complete, yes. We see a lot of bike ped traffic.
Yeah,
I was just
Since
noticing
it's
that coming
open.
in. Was a bicyclist taking that route?
yeah,
Yes, they are, yeah. It's a good addition to the system.
I think so. It's appealing.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that I appreciate all the efforts of our first responders, the police, the EMS, the fire department, everything that they do for our community to make it a safe community. I had a question for Captain Buchanan, and he got right back with me on it, and I just appreciate the time that he put in and responding to me personally. I don't think it's because of any position or any great thing. I think that our police department does a great job.
Okay. All right then. Need a motion here.
I, Gary Israel, make a motion that we adjourn the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals for June 16th, 2020.
I have a motion to adjourn. Looking for a second.
I, Alex Zarchin, second the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?